Welcome back to my channel, Simple Life Lesson Tales. Today, I have a powerful and heartwarming story for you. It's a story about kindness, wisdom, and how a simple act can change your entire mindset. Once upon a time, in a prosperous kingdom, there lived a powerful but arrogant king. He had everything, gold, jewels, and vast lands, but he was never satisfied. He believed that true greatness came from wealth and power, and he often boasted, "Only those who take what they want rule the world." One day, an old saint arrived in the kingdom, known for his wisdom. The people respected him greatly, and even the poorest villagers were content just by following his teachings. Curious and a bit jealous, the king summoned the saint to his palace. The king greeted the saint with a smirk. "They say you are wise," he said. "Tell me, what is the greatest treasure in the world?" The saint smiled. "Your Majesty, the greatest treasure is kindness." The king laughed. "Kindness? That is foolishness. Gold, power, and armies. These are treasures. Show me proof of your so-called kindness being valuable." The saint thought for a moment and then said, "Very well, Your Majesty. Let's go on a journey. I will show you a treasure beyond your imagination." The king, eager to prove the saint wrong, agreed. The next morning, the king and the saint set off on horseback. After hours of traveling, they arrived at a small, starving village. The people looked weak and sick, their eyes filled with despair. The saint turned to the king and said, "Give them food, and you will see the treasure." The king hesitated. He did not believe kindness had value, but to prove the saint wrong, he ordered his men to distribute food. As the villagers received the food, their eyes lit up with joy. Children laughed for the first time in days. Mothers wept in gratitude. An old man, too weak to stand, looked at the king with teary eyes and said, "You are not just a king, you are our savior." The king felt something stir inside him. It was not pride nor power. It was something warm, something fulfilling. But he refused to believe this was the treasure. "This is only temporary," he muttered. "Show me something greater." The saint nodded and led the king further into the kingdom, where they saw a pack of stray dogs. The animals were weak, their ribs visible, their tails tucked between their legs. The saint picked up a piece of bread and fed one of the dogs. Instantly, the dog's eyes softened, and it wagged its tail, licking the saint's hand in gratitude. The king scoffed. "How is feeding a dog a treasure?" The saint smiled. "Watch." The next morning, as the king and the saint prepared to leave, the same stray dogs surrounded them. But now, instead of weak, fearful creatures, they stood tall, guarding their new friend. They had not forgotten the kindness. The saint turned to the king. "Gold and power can be stolen, but the love you receive from kindness stays forever. That, Your Majesty, is the greatest treasure." For the first time in his life, the king understood. He had spent years collecting riches, yet one act of kindness had given him something his gold never could: happiness. He returned to his palace, but he was no longer the same man. From that day on, he ruled not with pride, but with kindness. He built homes for the poor, ensured no one in his kingdom went hungry, and even had a special shelter for the stray dogs. His people no longer feared him. They loved him. And in their love, the king finally found the greatest treasure of all. And so, the king finally understood. True wealth was not in gold or power, but in the kindness he gave to others. His kingdom flourished, not just in riches, but in the kindness he gave to others. His kingdom flourished, not just in riches, but in the kindness he gave to others. His kingdom flourished, not just in riches, but in the kindness he gave to others. His kingdom flourished, not just in riches, but in the kindness he gave to others. His kingdom flourished, not just in riches, but in the kindness he gave to others. His kingdom flourished, not just in riches, but in the kindness he gave to others. His kingdom flourished, not just in riches, but in the kindness he gave to others. His kingdom flourished, not just in riches, but in the kindness he gave to others. His kingdom flourished, not just in riches, but in the kindness he gave to others. His kingdom flourished, not just in riches, but in the kindness he gave to others. His kingdom flourished, not just in riches, but in the kindness he gave to others. His kingdom flourished, not just in riches, but in the but in love and generosity. And in the hearts of his people, he was remembered not as the strongest ruler, but as the kindest one. So, remember, one simple act of kindness can change not just your mindset, but the world around you. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe my channel for more inspiring stories.